Welcome to another episode of the Sober on a Drunk Planet podcast. And this week's guest is Nick from Chester, a beautiful part of the UK as well. I say as well because I think Chester's very much like Wimbledon, where I live. So I've been a bit biased, but there's lots of other beautiful places in the UK. So Nick's come on today. He's been in the group. I feel like you've been in the group for a while.
Yeah. Well, two years plus probably.
Yeah, because the group's only been running for 3.5 years because it was December 2022 when I set it up. So yeah, like I've always seen your name. You've always been very good at helping other people. So I thought, you know what, we've got a new season coming up. And as we said, this new season is about themes as well. So I very rudely asked you how old you were. And you said you're in your 60s. So I thought, actually, what a great podcast to do is about helping people in their 60s, because one of my pet hates, and it's part of the reason I'm doing this golf thing, is when people say you're too old to do something. And I think what we'll talk about now will build up to actually you're not, and sobriety, without preempting what you might say, is still as amazing at 60 plus, whereas I'm 39. So I think it would be really helpful for people for all age groups, but specifically those who are a bit older, who might just use age as a bit of a barrier to entry, shall we say. Cool. So with these, we'll go over your backstory, and then obviously we'll get up to your sobriety, and then chip in with questions and just explore certain themes as we go along as well. So
Okay.
Over to you.
Okay. Yeah. It's. Go back to the beginning. Then I started drinking probably when I was the age of 14 or 15 years of age, like most people, most kids do.
Yeah.
At that stage, I was drinking beer, cider, Pinot Black, all those things in the 70s and 80s that we crazy kids used to do and drink. I never thought anything of it. I was obviously a young kid and didn't drink. I was always training. I was started martial arts when I was about 17 or 18 years of age. So I was very much.
Can I just say this? As you said, martial arts, there's a bit of a Chuck Norris going on.
I don't know about that, but maybe, probably not.
Yeah.
But I was always doing martial arts and different styles as well. I broke away from one type of style to another type of style. So my drinking was low key. Then I got to about 20, 21. Still the same. I could take it or leave it, really. Drink at the weekends, go out with my friends, Friday night, Saturday night, and we have a session. Then you could drink 8-10 pints in a short period of time, and you feel no real effects. Bit of a hangover the day after. But then I got older, sort of like mid-20s. I was an engineer at the time. I joined the police force at the age of 26. That's when I really started to learn how to drink.
Which is ironic, because it's the police, it's the doctors, it's the lawyers, it's the generally high stress jobs that tend to come with the biggest drinkers as well.
Probably, yeah. I think any career, high stress career, you do start to look for something for support, and in the police in the late 80s, it was always you were told to drink. In your training, it's all about drinking. You go to the bar in your training, you go away for 14, 16 weeks training, and you're drinking every day. And I never did that beforehand, and then you're drinking every day. Oh, maybe 3 or 4 pints.
Does that just not seem completely bonkers looking back at it?
Yeah, it's not like that. It's nothing like that now. But in those days, you're away from your family and friends, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever. And you're in this environment, and it's a false environment, but they wanted to see what you were like, especially in drink. And of course, you'd relax, you put your guard down, you'd have conversations. There'd be people knocking around in the bar area. Everyone's in obviously jeans and t-shirts, so you'd forget sometimes. But that's where it all started. I think for me, that's where my sort of, they weren't issues at the time, but that's where you're sort of introduced to more of a casual drinking, a bit more regular. And then you go out into your areas, your force area, and then you've got this bit of a small habit. And I was still doing a bit of training then as well. And you start to mix with your colleagues, and you start drinking when you're off your shifts, and that's how my sort of bit of an issue started. And then 30 years later, you come up the other side, and I don't felt like I had any real problems with drinking in the police because it was normal. And then I think when I came out of the police, I was then in this entrenched area of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday now drinking because I wasn't in work on a Monday. And then it's obviously Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then we hit COVID just after that. So then that's when I realised that I did have a problem. I was drinking all the time. I was trying to buy beer to get in because COVID was in place, and your journeys were essential. So you're getting your food. I was getting my spirits and my beer to get me through the weekends, but I always kept it to weekend drinking.
It's how the brain sort of allows you to binge drink without thinking you're an alcoholic, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, my wife said to me, she said, "Do you think you've got a problem?" And I said, "No, I've not got a problem. You know, I can take it or leave it, really." And she said, "Well, let's just have a few weeks off." And that's when I knew I was. I
Yeah.
mean, for me particularly, it's Saturday afternoon when I'd go to the pub normally watch the football. It was there. I couldn't just not have a drink.
That's strange enough. That was a bit of a trigger for me because you find all that time. So I'd normally play golf in the morning, and then I'd go down to the pub with all the boys. We'd watch the football and talk about all our betting because that's what we did.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and then suddenly when I got sober, I was just like, oh, what am I going to do for like those 6, 7 hours?
yeah.
But just backtracking a bit. So how did it work drinking with your shift work? Did you have places that were open late that you would go to, or?
No, I mean, as I said, I mean, during the shift work, I wouldn't, particularly for me, I wouldn't drink. If I was I think for 10 years I was on frontline shifts. So if you finish your shift, say, I don't know, it could be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you finish your shift on a Sunday night, I'd probably have a drink when I got home. It was a late shift. And then I'd drink Monday, Tuesday. If I was working on a night shift, do 3 or 4 nights, you'd finish your nights, I'd have a drink that particular night I was off. Probably more to help me sleep. I used to think it would help me sleep, but obviously we all know now it's the
Yeah,
opposite. Really, you don't sleep; you have broken sleep and drink. But at the time, I felt like it knocked me out, and I'd wake up refreshed the following day, which is obviously 10 years later. It was never the case.
yeah,
Then I went into the investigations. Got promoted a couple of times, and so for me, then it was always about I'd have to have a clear head. I'd never drink mainly during my working days or evenings. And then when I was off, I would drink, but I'd probably drink more than I should do,
yeah,
whenever that may be.
yeah. And then I guess COVID's actually been a bit of a savior, not just for you, but it's a quite a common thing that actually when you take away the pubs and meeting friends for drinks, you then suddenly are just going to the off license or the supermarket to get drink. So there's no real hiding from yourself.
Yeah, I mean during COVID as well, when it first hit, I mean the shelves were pretty much empty of beer. Everyone was buying so much beer from the off licenses that you'd have to drive further afield, and people would say, "Oh, yeah, they've got Stella in the off license in the next village down from
Yeah,
where we are." So I'd have to drive and obviously pick it up, and then I'd have like crates of Stella in my garage, and I felt okay then. But you don't realize it's just. I mean, at the time, looking back now, this conversation sounds ridiculous, but at the time it was just quite normal to have like 40 tins of Stella in the garage just to get me through. And just to get me through a couple of weekends.
Yeah.
But now it's it's just really weird just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's funny. I think when I was in rehab back in 2018, they said it's protection of supply. So a part of addiction, no matter what part of the scale you are fully addicted every day, or the binge drinker who then needs to stockpile. Um, because
Yeah,
I was similar with beer. I always needed to have it in the fridge, or my other thing was drugs. Always needed drugs nearby.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, it's the protection and supply that you don't want to run out of something. But I guess when you've got COVID, you then realise that why do I need this? I've got nowhere to go.
yeah, yeah. It's a strange feeling, and I mean, there's other things. There's lots of stories I could probably come up with now, but we probably haven't got time. But when you just think
Oh, we
about
have.
drink, you
We've
just
got
think
loads of
about
time.
drink, or whether it's traveling to an event, or people around you are drinking on a bus, or in a taxi they're trying to have a drink, or you're getting a lift somewhere and people are popping cans or bottles open, and it's all those occasions. I mean, why don't you just wait till you get to the event and then have a drink? But no, we have to have a drink on the way, don't we? On the train or
I must admit, I was a bit different. I always looked at people drinking on the train, and I thought, well, because in London you're not actually allowed to, I don't think.
yeah,
Uh, but I always thought, just wait. I was never bothered about drinking on a plane either. Um, But then I would get shit faced, and then it would ruin the rest of the sporting event, whether I went to Fulham or Liverpool or whatever football match.
yeah,
Barely remember anything. Cricket was another one. I don't like cricket, but we'd always go after work because it was near London. Go 2020 after work, and again just get shit faced because there was that. I don't know if you relate to it, but the inability to stop once you started.
yeah. I mean, I think over the years, obviously for me, drinking for so long, you sort of know when you've had enough. Because for me, I'm a tall guy, so I'd always get hungry. So
Yeah,
my appetite would sort of kick in, really, like it punch me in the face, my appetite. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
sort of, but as I got older, you sort of you go from drinking, say, on a night out, 10 pints of fairly good lager to 8 pints, and then it's sort of 7 pints, and it's sort of dwindling down to 6 pints. Some shorts, brandies, whatever goes with it. So I think for me, I sort of knew when to sort of finish, but it doesn't mean I was any less sober. I was
yeah.
always quite drunk, and that's
And
when you
uh,
start
and I
doing the
think
silly
just
things.
picking up on what you were saying is that although you probably were reducing the amount you drank with age, I'm
Yeah,
guessing the hangovers possibly increased.
hugely. I mean, that's one of the reasons that I had lots of effects kicking in, especially sort of mid to late 50s. I had like heart palpitations, night sweats,
Yeah,
lack of sleep, all the things that you've spoken about in your books. Were just pointing at me really. My hangovers would it'd gone from obviously when I was younger, no hardly any hangover at all, to literally 2 to 3 days. Not thinking straight. Could I concentrate the following day with a hangover? No, I'd try and do 10 things at once. Why
yeah,
does your brain try to make you do 10 things at once when and you can't do anything correctly?
yeah, yeah.
And that just gets worse as you get older. Um, the
It,
benefit
it's yeah,
now,
it's funny because I remember working one of my first finance jobs. So I was probably 23 at the time, and I hadn't really suffered from hangovers
yeah,
at that age. I felt a bit groggy the next morning, but like you said, when you're young, you can just get on with it. It doesn't really impact you. And I
yeah,
always remember vividly the guy saying, "Wait until you get to my age." I think he was 42 at the time. He
yeah,
said, "You have 4 pints and your hangovers last about 3 days."
yeah,
Um, Obviously I drank and did too many drugs, so I had to stop at 31. But by the time I got to 31, my hangovers were lasting 4 days.
yeah,
So there's always a bit of a joke that Wednesday was the only day I ever went to the gym because that's the only day that I actually felt sort of semi-normal. But I think it's not that uncommon that people stop drinking with age because of the side effects are that much more potent and more time, more opportunities. are lost because you spend longer trying to flush out all the toxic, well, the toxins from alcohol that are produced.
Yeah. But the thing is, you think it becomes normal, doesn't it? Because you don't feel well,
No,
tired. I mean, you're tired. I mean, as I say, all the things you've said, the amount of food and rubbish you eat to recover, you feel like a stodge will make you feel better. And all you do is you either put loads of weight on, you become more unfit. For me, my heart palpitations became stronger. You're at the doctors and you're saying, yeah, most people have heart palpitations. Well, that doesn't help me. But in the end, I realized it was the alcohol. Because once I tried to stop, everything eased. Um, Sugar
it,
level, yeah,
it's funny that as well because I think um, I went to the doctors. I had numerous things. I think gastric acid's quite a common one, so
yeah,
acid reflux.
yeah,
Um, but when I stopped drinking, that went away. Lost weight, and then other things because less inflammation in the body. Um, yeah, I mean, I think once you know the truth about something that is a big lie, because the drinking culture in the police celebrates it.
yeah,
So I guess if you don't drink, you're sort of going against the culture.
yeah. But also you're if you're dealing with anything that's nasty or bad or I suppose things that you see and you witness, then a drink sort of numbs you to that effect,
Yeah,
and you can lighten up in yourself then, can't you? Really?
yeah. I guess there's a couple of things because I'll be honest, I didn't know that you used to work in the police, but my favourite show is Police Interceptors and all those things. Because I look at it from the side of I'm not getting in trouble with the police anymore, but 90% are drug and alcohol related offences. So on that point, when you were working front line, I'm
Yeah,
guessing Friday, Saturday nights, you would deal with drunk people all the time.
yeah.
And how was that? The
Um,
having to deal with, I guess, the after effects of alcohol.
yeah, I mean, you see the bad side of life, don't you? Really? Well, for me, I mean, I was at the time. I mean, this is going back obviously 20 odd years ago now, but um, that was. I mean, yeah, I was drinking in my time off as a binge drinker, but to the degree when you look at people in say Liverpool, they're so drunk and they're committing crime and all the violence that goes with it. You just deal with it. Your job is to deal with it and to contain it. And if people need arresting, then they need arresting. But I'd always be, I've always been fair with people. I've never, never done anything I shouldn't have done. I've always done things that by the book. If someone needed arresting, you've arrested them because they've done something violent or they've been drunk and disorderly, doing something outrageous. So they've had to come in. But that's just your job. But I came away from that. So I did 10 years of that front line till about 19, the year 2000, 1999. And then I went into investigations, which is different than you come away from the front line of that
Yeah.
uh, profession and you're dealing with all the investigations in the CID.
So I guess in terms of what you know now, do you think if alcohol was regulated or the percentages drastically reduced, that might have a better impact on sort of policing?
Police hugely. There'd be a huge impact on policing. Yeah, I mean, whatever you think about drugs and cannabis and all that business, that aside, uh, alcohol alone, because it's everywhere, as we keep talking about and you talk about in your books. Anyone can buy it from at the age of probably 13 if they looked about a bit older to any age right up to when we die. It's there, it's accessible, it's affordable, but the amount of people that just don't know how to just have a few drinks, they've got to drink to get blind drunk, and that's when all the problems are caused. And even if you're not, people aren't blind drunk, they become loud, they say things that are offensive.
it must waste a lot of time because you've just got drunk people who possibly are nice people day to day when they're not drunk, who get arrested when they don't really have to be, I guess. It's only because they keep pushing it.
the amount of people you'd see in a cell the following day, and they're so regretful because they've sobered up. And that's obviously a passionate thing, but if they've just been drink driving or drunk and done something, they can't even remember half the time. And there they are.
Guilty.
Yeah,
I got arrested at 2:32 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon for being drunk and disorderly.
yeah,
That was a low point in my life, and then I got arrested the week after for the same thing as well. But I genuinely don't remember any
yeah.
of it other than walking out of the police station was my first memory. It was only because I had the ticket in my back pocket, a very angry mum and dad because my mates had to ring them to say that I'd been arrested at
Yeah.
2:30. And it wasn't like I was a bad person. I just couldn't handle the fact that I was drinking vodka Red Bull at a poker game at 11 o'clock in the morning. That was the first drink I had was 11 o'clock, and by 2:30 I was a fucking nutcase.
That's quick.
Yeah, very quick.
Yeah,
And then I guess yeah. So the thing is, it would yeah reducing the impact of alcohol as a drug with the benefit of hindsight is that it would help the police. The police would then be able to focus on the things that they really need to focus on. But then also there's the other benefits of NHS won't have to spend all the time looking after drunk accidents and fallout from being overweight from drinking and everything like that as well.
yeah.
Um,
It's everything. Yeah, the court system, the prisons. It's everything. It's huge. But I mean, that's never going to happen, is it? I mean, I do think that people now, the younger generations, are starting to realise that drinking isn't the be all and end all, and that's where all the zero beers are coming in. And I think things are going to change, but it's going to take a long time.
yeah.
Us older guys, me particularly, and I've obviously seen this. That it's a big change for me. This, but it doesn't go without its struggles, even for me. So it's
Yeah, I think you talk about, so I feel like the generation of 20-year-olds, so 20 years younger than me, go to the gym, don't really drink. But then I look at the prices of housing and I'm like, no wonder they don't drink because salaries haven't got any higher. So something has to give in terms of do I spend 100, £200 on a night out, or do
yeah,
I try and save to get into some type of studio somewhere?
yeah.
Um, that's their problem now, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think health and well-being is the main focus, isn't it? That's what people really want. But I think there's a big sludge of people in between. But I don't know whatever the age is. You could probably tell me, but say between 35 and say my age 60, and even people older than me, they're never going to change, or they're trying to change. Sorry, they're trying to change, but there's people who just won't change. That's their life, and
Yeah,
that's how they have fun.
and that's the point we'll get to in a bit when we start talking about your sobriety point. But yeah, the people that say I'm too old, what's the point? That's my personal pet hate.
Yeah,
And that's why I wanted to make the theme about getting sober in your 60s because the benefits are there for everyone and maybe more so um, when you're 60 and over because time becomes more precious. I don't know. Um, and
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you start to realise that health is more important than anything. And you're right. You're at the edge of the table now in your life, and I think you haven't got far to go. Sounds a bit morbid, but
yeah, it sounds morbid, but I also think we need to be sensible and have honest conversations about death. We know what the average ages are that people die at. So I could have a heart attack in the next 10 minutes. And
don't be
that's
doing
just the
that.
way it is.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, But the thing is, we want better things. I mean, for me, it's a big light bulb moment. It's like, I want to live a bit longer. Actually, I don't want to be dying of cancer or heart attack, or I'd like to try and live and become healthy. I mean, I'm training now, back to my full spec training,
Oh, nice.
3 or 4 days a week. Not martial arts because obviously it's. I mean, there's
But
times
you're not going to
when
say you're too old, are you?
no, I'm not too old for it, but you're more likely to break. I mean, even now, I was breaking fingers, toes, and ribs, and losing
Yeah,
teeth, and all those things that we did when we were younger. But again, it's something that I probably could do, but I'm more into sort of swimming, cycling, running.
sounds like a triathlon.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's whether to do a triathlon in the next year or two, a proper full one. I don't know, but it's there in the back of my mind. And maybe another marathon. Half marathons are good, but no, I want to build a bit of strength up as well, upper body strength, and get strong again,
Yeah.
and stay well.
And that is like one of my motivations for doing this golf thing at 39. Like most people would say, oh, you're too old to try and do this now. It's something that people do from the age of 8. But I had a client, John, who was 72, and he came to me and this is when I was doing the personal training, and he started doing the weight training. So we went for 2 years. And in those 2 years, his confidence and his ability to move around the house and the simple things as well, because when you lose strength in later years, that's when accidents happen. It's grip strength. You can't grip the banisters, fall down, break a hip. Once you're in hospital, no one really wants to go into hospital
No,
because
no,
of everything else that you end up coming out with. But strength training is such an important part of staying alive, basically. And I think, like you said, I think it's a knock-on effect. Getting sober gives you that time to then do the strength work. Because in the reality of it, if you're not feeling 100% for half the week, it then limits how often you go to the gym, maybe.
yeah, that's right. And sometimes you don't even feel like it when you're hungover. But I mean, now, certainly nearly 2 years into it, my training is getting better all the time. I'm not quite back at lifting the weights I used to when I was younger, but I'm sort of getting there. Um, I say my running is probably just as well, not as fast as when I was 18, obviously, but I'm sort of getting sort of good speeds in my running. My recovery from training is good. It's quick. I've never been as quick as this for
No,
recovery
well.
and training, which I can't remember being so well after a training session.
And that's quite an important point to make because there are a lot of people in the Sober on a Drunk Planet community that do running and every other type of sport.
Yeah,
But it's understanding how important recovery is because it means you can get going again
that's right.
and develop from there. So actually having a full 8 hours sleep that isn't disturbed by alcohol and needing a piss every 2 minutes. And simple things like that. These are all the small habits that actually have quite a big impact over your run times and the
Yeah,
weights that you're lifting. And yeah, I just don't think there's a big enough emphasis on those smaller things that
yeah.
actually, in the bigger frame of health and well-being, are actually quite important.
Yeah, and also concentration as well. I mean, I started to. I thought to myself, I'd like to play a musical instrument. I've tried to play the guitar for about 20 years, and I've always put it down, picked it up. But I just thought I'd like to play the drums actually. So,
No,
so I've been playing drums for about 12 months now. But my concentration, and I think I'm okay. My standard is, I've never played a drum kit before in my life,
yeah,
and
yeah.
now I'm playing the drums in the garage, probably to the neighbours' annoyance. But
Have they
it's
moved out yet?
no, no, they're probably going to knock
It can't
me.
be that bad then.
No, but it's my but concentration for even that, just to pick up a new hobby. And I play my drums every couple of days, and that even that's I'm enjoying that really, playing along to most tunes. Where it's going to go on, it's obviously not going. I'm not going to become famous or anything, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
I'm not trying to. It's just having something, another hobby, to
yeah.
kick in for a change.
So did you retire from active policing? Is that when you retired, or did you go into something else after?
Yeah, I retired after 30 years as a warranted police officer. You'd probably call us. And then I went to I had 6 months off, did a bit of traveling, and then I went to another force as a civilian investigator. I did that for 2 years, just because it cropped up. The job came up, and um, I thought, oh, that sounds good. So I did that for 2 years, and then I thought to myself, I'm getting towards 60 now. I think it was 59. Um, and I joined the police later. I was 26, 27 when I joined the police, and I left when I was 57. You do 30 years.
Yeah.
And then I did this 2 years with this other force. So it took me up to 59, nearly 60. And I thought, I need to have some time to myself now. I can retire young. I might as well. Fortunate enough to. So some people don't have the benefits of what we have. So I'll take full advantage of it.
Nice. So then, I guess, did that tie in with you getting sober?
Yeah, pretty much. Obviously, COVID was during the last 12 months of my civilian career, if you like, that short 2 year career. So I was conscious of it then, with COVID and everything else. And then I just thought that that's when I finished, and I wanted to, I don't know, become healthier, much healthier than what I was. That's when I sort of decided. It's the London Marathon that actually kicked me into stopping drinking altogether.
Nice. So was it just the decision that I've entered and I've got picked, which is quite rare?
Yeah, yeah.
And then did you just decide with the training that that was then it?
Well, I decided to cut down, which is, everyone says I'm going to cut down. That's probably the worst phrase we can all use, because you don't cut down. You can either stop, think about it all the time, or you can cut down, still think about it all the time, but you go back to drinking your
Yeah.
normal amounts. I mean, I don't know whether it's heavy or not, but I drink between 10, 15, 18 pints a weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which for me, I mean, I know people drink a lot more, but I could put it into that quota. So just to reduce that, I couldn't, or I tried to, and then it go back up again. So
Just to put that into context,
yeah,
because the danger that we get in, because I would drink about 8 to 10 pints of cider on a Friday and Saturday.
yeah,
Um, but I think if you're looking at the doctor saying like one drink is probably the limit, but if you want to be really healthy, you wouldn't put any alcohol, which is a toxin,
yeah, yeah,
into your body. So I think when you say, yeah, you're doing 8 a night, so 16, 18 pints,
yeah,
compared to a doctor who probably suggests 0 to 2 at most, then it just gives it some sort of context to how unhealthy it actually is. Because
yeah.
the problem is, me and you could normalize that because that's what I had. But I think sometimes people need to understand that it's not normal.
But when you're in it, it feels normal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, you think, I've only had 6 pints tonight, and that's quite good.
And there's
Um,
always someone who's worse.
well, yeah, yeah, and we all know people who are worse, and people who drink less, but they might drink a bottle of wine a night and think it's normal. But
Yeah,
7 bottles of wine just for one person is too much. But yeah, so the marathon, just going back to the marathon, I realised then that trying to reduce was difficult. So I thought, well, no, I need to stop. So then I stopped, and that's when I realised it was hard. So I went back to drinking after the marathon, not quite as much, but it was building up again. And then I thought, I need to stop. So around about the summer, after the April, which was the marathon date, I thought, right, I'm just going to quit. I did try quitting in between those couple of months, and I kept going back to drink again. Then I'd have a month off, then it'd be drink again, 2 months off, and then in the end, it's sort of like that's it. And it took about 3 to 6 months before I felt really, really started to become well. Yeah,
yeah. I think as well, like a lifetime of drinking
yeah,
is an addictive thing, and it comes with all the cultural elements as well. I think people, when they stop, complacency, and people want everything yesterday. They think they get all the health benefits and sort of the clearer
Yeah,
mind and clarity that comes with not having sort of brain fog from alcohol. It takes 3 to 12 months probably of
yeah,
not drinking for that to properly kick in.
yeah. I mean, the sleep for me was the biggest because I'd gone from probably my sleep pattern would be 5 or 6 hours a night, especially when I was working, which probably some people would say that's normal, but I knew I was, by come to the weekend, I'd want more sleep, but you wouldn't get it because you're drinking. Um, but now I'm sleeping 7 to 8 hours a night, deep sleep. But my not nightmares, that's the wrong word, my dreams, certainly for 6, 7 months, were so vivid.
Yeah.
I mean, I was waking up thinking, oh my God, what was that about? And I'd never have dreams. I'd never had dreams like that at all in my life. And there, these dreams are coming through. And then they subsided. And then that was probably about 8 or 9 months into no drink at all. Um, and then they eased off. But my sleep is so good now.
You know what? I got into when I was sober for a bit. I got into sort of like deep sleeping and trying to create these vivid dreams. I forget what the name of it is, but they're really cool. Like, because you literally think like, am I in this? Is this real? But then every so often chucked in was like a drinking and a drug dream where I would have had about 10 packs of cocaine, and then I wake up in the morning and I'm like, shit. I'm glad
Yeah,
that didn't happen in real life.
yeah.
Um,
I bet. Yeah.
yeah,
But it is the colourful dreams, but I think all my dreams are very much based on past experiences. They'd come to the fore, and I'd be living through things that I've experienced before, and some of them enjoyable, some of them funny. I mean, I woke up laughing in some of the dreams because funny things have gone on.
yeah.
But now I don't. My dreams have all pretty much they've all gone now. I don't have any dreams, or don't
Tell you
feel like.
what, if you want vivid dreams, magnesium supplements, they do something. It's weird, but yeah.
Okay,
But
I've,
magnesium's also good for post-run recovery as well.
okay, I'll give it a
Just a
go.
caveat, not just taking those for dreams.
Yeah.
Um, Brill, so sober in your 60s then, and I guess something that is a separate thing, but retirement planning and sort of finding purpose in retirement. So I've always worked as a financial planner, helping people financially in retirement. But
Yeah.
what a lot of people don't realize is the emotional and going from working and having routine and structure every day to then not having routine and structure every day leads people to drink more. Like my
Absolutely.
dad's about to retire. He's 71, and he does drink still. He drinks less since I've got sober, which is good. But my worry is that when he gets home from golf, he then starts drinking. But you've got sober. So how have you found the retiring element? And how do you think the sobriety helps with sort of giving you that sense of purpose in retirement, I guess?
Yeah. Okay. Well, for me, retirement was to begin with was difficult. I had those 6 months off after full time work in the police force, and I did find it. I had so much time, and I started doing lots of things, and I was doing more things, and in the end, I thought about going back to work, which I did. And then I went after about 6 or 9 months in my for that 2 year period. I reduced my hours, so reducing hours helped, I think. So I was working 3.5, 4 days a week, which helped me towards finishing completely. But yeah, I think boredom does kick in, and you've got to literally fill your time with it, especially when you're not drinking. But I'll probably look forward to the weekend. I still had it in my head not to drink during the week, even when I'd retired, which I managed to stick to that. The odd occasion, something would crop up in the week and I'd have a drink. But I'd drink at the weekend, so I'd look forward to the weekends as we all do. And then I started to go through the phase of not drinking. So but I had so much more time on my hands. I had all these things I had to do to fill my time. But like, if to begin with, it felt like such a long day, a Saturday, because all the football would be on. And I'd be thinking, oh God, how am I going to get through today? Not having a drink. And I'd start thinking about a drink around 12 o'clock in the day. Sport would start kicking off, football, early kickoffs, 12:30, listening to the football, watching the football. So in the end, I had to come away from that and I'd go for a run, to be honest. Saturday afternoon, I'd do like a 5 or 6 mile run. That would really help me, especially at the weekend.
Yeah.
Gym on a Sunday. So that really helped me bring things back around. But mentally, I was thinking about drinking all the time.
It's just to, before we go on, it's actually a good thing to note that that period of time, it would trigger me as well because it's a cultural thing. Watching Sky Sports News, people talk about football results come in and then go to the pub and then watch football or whatever, or go to, I had a season ticket at Fulham at the time. Um, but it's important to highlight that you've physically taken yourself out of a triggering environment
Yeah,
and you've done running, which will change the way that you think and it will reduce the cravings. It might not, like you said, Saturdays are a big trigger, but that's a really useful tool um, to use running at certain times, or go for a walk, or do something, yoga, anything that gets the body moving, gets you out of that mindset of sitting in that craving, because that's ultimately when people can lapse.
yeah. And that lasted quite a long time. Literally months and months and months. At weekends, I'd always think about, and this is without any stress or any pressure. You had a bump in the road to pressure, or something that's cropped up in the family, and then then it adds more. It's more of a trigger. But just the weekends alone, no stress, no pressure. It's you've drunk on a Saturday or a weekend or a Friday or a Sunday, whatever it may be. Sun comes out. There's something that kicks you into it. You just got to have that little thing in your back pocket to take you away, take you mentally away. So I picked up on that quite quickly, and probably reading your books again. I keep saying that, but little things you said in your books makes you think, oh, that you're spot on. And then when you're living through it, then you realise you put these things in place. Now I'll play music. I'll go in the garage. I'll play 2 hours of music and put my little things, ears in, and bang away on the drums, and I've gone. It's 7 o'clock on a Saturday night, and I think neighbours have had enough. I've had enough, and I'm over it then.
Yeah,
So it's, but yeah, I think everyone's different. But just to have those things to do.
yeah,
And again, like the winter nights when they kick in, that was always a problem for me. So you've just got to go off it if it means going for a run. But I'm always thinking about people who can't exercise. They're not in that situation where they've still got the health, and it's just having something, anything to do. Read,
yeah.
watch a film.
And that's an important point. Is I think getting sober for me has allowed me to do all the things that I wanted and more. Like, I don't put myself in situations I don't want to be just to test myself. I won't chuck myself out of a plane because that's what people think they should do. No, I do things that are challenging. But with what you said with the drums, that's another outlet for you. That's something else that you've picked up and you enjoy doing in
Yeah.
your retirement. Also helps with your sobriety. So to me, it feels like some of the things are quite intertwined. The sobriety allows you to do things, you enjoy those more as a result, and therefore you're moving further away from ever wanting to drink and ruin all those things. So it sounds like your retirement is going really well because there's things that you're doing. You've been to New Zealand as well?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing a lot of traveling. We've got an old camper van which we go away in fairly regularly. Went to Scotland last year, but these are things that if I was in a um, of a drinking mind, I'd be thinking. If you're on holiday, for instance, you're driving or whatever you're doing. We've been fortunate enough to do some traveling in other countries as well. But it's in Thailand, for instance. We went to Thailand and spent 4 or 5 weeks traveling from Chiang Mai down to Bangkok, taking all the buses and the small the trains and the coaches. But I don't have that weight on my shoulders where I need to get somewhere to a hotel, a B&B, whatever it may be, to have a drink.
Yeah.
That's that big weight for me. And that was again was another, I'm not struggling here to get somewhere quickly as possible so I can down a load of beer, because I'm on holiday. It just totally has disintegrated. So now you enjoy your full day. It's just
It's weird, isn't it? Like until you said that, I hadn't really thought about it. But I think in the books, I also mentioned the amount of time that goes into planning the drinking, because
yeah,
it's like you said, it's almost subconscious that your whole day ends in a beer, lots of beers. So whatever you're doing, the reward at the end is to
yeah.
have alcohol. But I guess once you take that away, then you're not restricting what you do to go and find alcohol, which was every holiday and every post round
You
of golf
see,
I ever did.
yeah. Sorry, you just froze on the screen there.
Yeah, so
Uh,
I was just saying that I related in terms of every round of golf I always did ended in a beer, and sometimes it wasn't playing golf for the sake of enjoying golf; it was playing golf to drink a beer. And there's
yeah,
still people who I play golf with that rather just have the beer.
yeah. And also, there's the following day where you've got another day to enjoy, and you're hungover, and you've got to travel.
Yeah,
Um, we're going from one place to another now. And all the years when I've thought about it, I thought I don't feel like it today. And you sat there on a train or on a plane or whatever it may be, on the beach trying to recover, and you just don't do the things that, or we're not doing the things that we do now, which is like my
the
days
amount of
so
missed excursions.
I miss flights.
Yeah,
you know, it's but now my day is so full and I can do so many things and I see so much more and I remember it.
yeah.
So it's
It's mental, isn't it? I think yeah, sometimes take for granted the freedom of not obsessing over alcohol at
yeah,
such a deep subconscious level that actually all the plans are going on holiday center around getting as drunk as possible and then ruining. Like it really hits home actually, like the amount of missed paid for excursions on numerous holidays when I used to drink, that we'd wake up the next day and go, oh, I'm not feeling too great after last night, should we just sack off that £200 safari on camels, etc.
yeah,
But on the flip side, sobriety and sober holidays are my favorite. Like I love going away with April. We go and try and explore the UK a bit, because you forget how beautiful the UK is. Like I love Chester. I love all that part. But we went up to the Lake District last year and then drove up to Loch Lomond, and
yeah,
then on to the other parts of Scotland. Like one thing I would say is I will never do that drive again. But
yeah,
you just get the time to do all the things that you never did when you were drinking, which
yeah.
is one of the biggest benefits of getting sober.
But it's funny how you can hear it in other people's voices when they're talking about, if you're with other people and you're traveling, you can tell that they're itching to get to where they want to go to because,
It's so
and that
it's
was me.
it's the comments. So we went to Tenerife in March, and we stayed at. I wouldn't do it again, but we stayed in a very corporate hotel, which is what I would have liked when I was drinking. But everything revolves around alcohol, and all the comments throughout the day are about people drinking, and like everything, like you become conscious to what used to be
That's
very
right.
subconscious,
Yeah,
which is a good thing because you sort of see how crazy that obsession is in other people's eyes,
yeah,
which at a personal level is just a good reminder of um, how odd it all seems.
yeah. I mean, it sounds corny, this, but and everyone's well, most people say the same thing. I wish I'd have discovered this years ago because I would have felt a lot better, seen a lot more of the world, hopefully, and experienced a lot more than just living for the weekends and drinking and being half cut by 7 o'clock at night and that's it. Day's over. Night's finished. It's
Yeah. And
now.
that's the one thing I would caveat though is I remember when I was in rehab, there was a lady who was 78 and she was looking to get sober. I think like there's lots of things I regret from my past, but it's done. The fact that you've got sober when you've got sober, when society would say to you, "What's the point?"
Yeah,
is brilliant, and it's really inspiring um, for other people to hear because you're right. People get to a point where they think, you know what, I want to make the most of whatever time we have left here. And getting sober, I think, when drinking takes up so much time, is probably one of the most powerful things that people can do.
yeah. I mean, it doesn't go without any harm. I mean, even now, I do think it crosses my mind. I still have the feelings of what's the harm in a drink. And even I'm not sure when that's going to go. I mean, I do go out now. I go to the pub. I meet up friends now and again. I'll just drink soft drinks. I was spending a bit of time with zero beers, but I think that was just a bit of a crutch just to use at the time. But now I don't even need that. But it does. I do look at people when they're raising their pint to the lips, and you see the lager, and I'm thinking, it looks nice there. But I can't get rid of that feeling of those
And
thoughts.
and so to be honest, if you think about it, um, you were a drinker for the vast majority of your life.
Yeah,
So you think of all that conditioning, it's deeply ingrained almost into your soul.
yeah,
And when I was in AA, like there was some really clever things that they knew 100 years ago, I think it was written. But it is the obsession, and that obsession stays with you potentially forever. And that's partly why they created groups. So you would go to an AA meeting once, two, three times a week, because it helps stop that obsession turning into drinking.
yeah,
Because every so often you have to bring up to the forefront of why am I getting sober for these reasons. Therefore, next time I go to the pub, I'm stronger in my resolve because I've reminded myself of why I'm doing it. And I think seeing you on the group, it shows that you don't want to get complacent. Coming on here shows that you don't want to get complacent. And like everything, talking about talking about it means it's then not a weight on your shoulders. Um, and that's part of the self-awareness and the journey of staying sober, but also sort of recovering yourself from going back down that route again.
yeah. I mean, we've had great fun over the years doing what we've done, but and I don't want to lose that fun. I still like to go and socialise. Just that I'm the one that's not drinking now. Most of my friends all drink. But it's that fine line of I still want to engage and have fun and talk, but I don't want to slip. So it's always a balancing act not to
Yeah,
lose, because I don't want to lose what I've got now.
yeah, and I guess yeah, I can see that because you want all the benefits of sobriety, but I guess as well, what you learn to do is build. You could be a confident person anyway, but I guess within that pub environment, when people have had a couple of drinks, they start getting louder, looser with what they say. I certainly was. I've always been quite prim and proper, but after one drink, I was a foul mouth person because I just got very loose with it. And I guess in that environment, you need to balance not being triggered, but also just wanting to naturally feel confident in yourself. Does
Yeah,
that sound about right?
yeah. It's about learning. I'm not sure if you've written this or somebody else has, but it's learning to socialize again. Um, I mean, yeah, I feel I'm always fairly confident anyway, but in that environment when people are louder and drunk and having fun and jumping off tables to a degree, you don't feel like you can do that, but you feel like you can. It's about building up your conversation again, not in drink. And obviously, when people start repeating themselves, not making sense, swearing, bouncing off tables, then usually it's time to go, then, isn't it? Or
That's what I was about to say. That is
still in the
my
background.
yeah, my time to go. When they say the second story again, which wasn't that interesting in the first place, I'm
Yeah,
gone.
yeah. Where's he
Yeah.
gone? Oh, I don't know. He's gone home. Yeah, he doesn't drink, does he? No. Don't invite him again. Okay, that suits me.
But you know the funny thing is like the biggest thing that I've learned in sobriety is people are so busy with their own lives. You could be really good friends with someone, but they still have their own things that they do and ways that they deal with their own stresses that you not being there for the last hour and a half, 2 hours of the evening really doesn't matter to anyone.
No, it doesn't.
You get to keep your sanity and wake up hangover free and do your running training or strength work or whatever. And they're probably waking up the next day going, I wish I was a bit like Nick.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, if we can pass something on to some people and they do, even if they drink less, it's a good thing, isn't it? It's got to be a good thing, or completely abstain.
And
Uh,
I think the best way I would say to people is you can't tell people to cut down. You can't like I never put any stuff about saying you need to do this or you need to do that. All you can do is act as a soundboard and like I'm sober for me. And the reasons I do this is because I benefit with dot 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 dot.
yeah,
And then it's like an energy. People can feel the way that you've changed now and the way that you turn up and subconsciously that has an impact on people in a positive way. They might resent you, but it's a positive reflection if you're not constantly saying, "I think you should cut down drinking because I have." No one's ego likes that.
no. And also, I mean, people only ask if they're curious. I mean, to begin with, I'd tell people, and I'm not drinking because of these reasons, and they'd be like, "Oh, all right," and they'd go and sit somewhere else. But now I let people ask me. They say, "Oh, you're not drinking?" I say, "No, not had a drink for so long," and they'll ask you why, and if they're interested, or they'll just go, "Oh," and they just ignore it. Some drinking buddies I've had in the past, some pals, and they've just been drinking buddies, and I don't really see them now. But I've moved on. I've got other friends now who I mix with, and it doesn't matter to me. But I don't force it down their throats about what I do or
Yeah.
what I'm doing, because at the end of the day, I could fall off tomorrow, couldn't I? And, you know, but I'm hoping to stick the course, and that's me done. But I don't preach to anyone.
Yeah, and I think that's the best thing, right? You do it for yourself, and people, yeah,
Yeah,
sort of see that change as well.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, it's so much like it's fascinating because I've spoken to you over the years, but I've never in any depth. But it's been really fascinating getting to understand your story and how sobriety has helped your retirement to allow you to do more and get healthier, which
yeah,
I think's a brilliant promotional thing for retirement. Like in an ideal world, if people want to live as long and as happy as they can, you wouldn't be poisoning your body. You'd be more conscious about the food that you put in your body. You'd be doing regular strength training
yeah,
and running's healthy, taking up new hobbies also, so that time isn't then spent drinking like you're drumming, whether your neighbors like it or not, doesn't matter. But there's so much going on, and it's such a positive thing because I think sobriety is for anyone at any point who just wants to have a better standard of life for themselves. So I think you coming on will inspire people. I'm very grateful for your time coming on as well.
Thanks for inviting me. And if you need to be interviewed, I can interview you maybe in the next one, and I'll get to know a
Yeah,
bit more about you.
yeah, bro. Yeah, to be honest, I'm actually supposed to. I've done this a bit backwards, like a Star Wars trilogy or whatever it is now. There's like probably 20 odd films. But I am going to start this season with 7 years sober and lessons from it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I might get you on as the host.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, brilliant. Thanks very much, Nick. Hopefully we'll get you on again at some point, maybe when you're in New Zealand.
Okay.
Again, no doubt. Um, and yeah, thanks very much.
You take care. Have a good day. Golf tomorrow as well.
Yeah, cheers.